Hey there, Vols fans. Welcome to another episode of Tennessee Fan Talk. Had a big weekend in Neyland. Sold out for a non-conference game. Just shows you the excitement that the hype train has brought back to Tennessee, and the butt whooping that they gave Akron still had a few holes in it. We're going to talk about the Vols, Akron, a little bit about how some of the other teams in the SEC fared out on this episode of Tennessee Fan Talk. Get in here with us. All right, Vols fans, what an exciting weekend it was all the way around the SEC. Of course, Tennessee taking care of business 63-6, hosting Akron in there. Not even a chance. Tennessee going 3-0 on the season. Had a balanced game all the way across, is from quarter to quarter. There are a couple holes. We'll talk about them. First, we got to talk about this. If you haven't already, go down below, click that subscribe, that like, that notify. If you already have done that on YouTube, we thank you very much. Head on over to the link tree down below and follow us up social media. Wherever you are, we are, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. It's all the same, at TN Fan Talk. As always, I'm Brandon Byrd. You find me on Instagram at BrandonByrdTN, and today we are without the Duke because Bristol was more important than football. He picked a good weekend to miss watching a game. Speaking of which, not aired. We got to get onto that right after we introduce our returning guest right next to me here, Mr. Luke the Tito. Awesome. We would normally call him Florida Homer, but you'll hear his thoughts on what he thinks about Florida coming up when we hit around the SEC. Luke.
Here's a hint. It ain't good.
Glad that you're back with me here, Tito.
Yeah, glad to be back, man.
So a untelevised Tennessee game. Here's what gets me. The Youngstown, Young State, whoever the heck Kentucky played.
Yeah, Youngstown State.
They air that game.
I don't get it.
But they don't air. It goes on SEC Network. I had to pay for I couldn't watch it at live. Otherwise, I could have seen it via the ESPN app with my subscription service through YouTube TV, which is not a paid promotion. Just throw that in there. YouTube, if you want it to be, I'll talk about it every game. Just hit me up. 30 cents a suggestion. I'll just sit here, YouTube TV this, YouTube TV that. But because I could not watch it live, there's no such thing as recording it, and so then you have to pay for a ESPN Plus subscription. Absolute stupid.
I tell you, if we're going to take just a little sidebar to talk about untelevised games, I mean, how is it possible that ESPN Game Day goes to App State? They go to App State, and then they don't televise the game to everyone, and it turns out to be the craziest game of the entire weekend. Like, it is so idiotic to me, the way that, like, I don't understand that entire business model. Like, they should have been the 11 or whatever time they played. That should have been the game on ESPN. Like,
well, we know truly why Tennessee wasn't aired. It's because ESPN hates Tennessee. I mean, it's
yeah, there's probably a little bit to do with that. I was blown away, just blown away that they were not televising the App State game when they were there for game day. I mean, I guess
normally they do, so that's weird.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I thought it was a real slap in the face to App State by not putting them on there, because they deserved it. They deserved to be on there, and they deserved to get the airtime, the national airtime. because I think that it probably would have been the most watched game at that time.
Hey, everyone wants to see a little bit of the Boone County giant killers these days. And if this was 2024 or 2025, whenever the expansion is going to occur, of course, it's set for the 2026, but they're going to try to move it up. Were we in that circumstance, I mean, you're looking at someone with a potential end, depending on how the rest of their season goes, just because of their early success.
That's true. Yeah, I just thought it was a real shame.
So, getting back on track, your number 11 ranked Vols, which, yeah, we'll talk about rankings a little bit further. I still, Vols are number 20 to me. I'm sorry, I'm a Vol homer. I'm gonna root for them all the way. These rankings are, if you want to be ranked 11 after next week, we'll talk. But right now, I don't like it. I already said 63-6, even game across all the things. 55 overall tackles for that defense, 11 tackles for loss. That's what we like seeing. That's what we had last year, 52 yards on that. 4 sacks for 25 yards. And then the rest of these stats here, which is fantastic. On a couple of them. I'm still worried about. 28 first downs for Tennessee, 676 total yards. Just putting it on them. Here's what I don't like seeing, Tito. 6 for 13 on third down conversions. Less than half. Yeah. What happens when they get into SEC play with this kind of number?
Well, I mean, it really, I mean, it just depends. I mean, are we talking about Tennessee playing Florida? Because I think 6 out of 13 on third down is going to be plenty to beat them. But now, if you're talking, Georgia or even Kentucky, or you get into a little bit more of the meat of the schedule, that could start to be a problem. But one thing I did see about Tennessee's defense is they seem like they're getting progressively better every single week. Yes. And the fact that they only gave up 1 third down in that entire game, that's a huge number right there.
Yes.
They only been 1 for 13 on third down. That's a huge plus for that defense. Huge plus. Tennessee just seems like they're realizing what their strengths are and their weaknesses are, and they're trying to get better at their weaknesses, and while they're still trying to progress on their strengths.
Yes.
Which is, if you're a Tennessee fan, that's all you want to see. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. But, the big glaring thing about Tennessee this season that everybody saw was their defense. And, everybody's saying, okay, they could score points. They can go to that whole Oklahoma-style offense.
Their identity is that quick offense, right?
Exactly.
Which is so not the case right now. Little worried. We're a team that's normally putting it on in the first quarter, and it just has not happened thus far. Now, Ball State, it happened. It looked good. But these last 2 weeks, the first quarter's not there. And Hooker has the jitters, and they even talked about it on the horrible SEC Network Plus commentators. We're talking about, how do we get the jitters out? And Golish even said, well, Hooker needs to throw some shots downfield to get the jitters out. Some quarterbacks need to get hit to get the jitters out. The overthrow, underthrow. I mean, thank God he has Tillman, who, can come to the ball like none other. But you get into, like you said, maybe not Florida, but when they get into the real SEC schedule the week after that or they have their bye week and then LSU. So maybe not LSU either. So the schedule.
LSU is a team that doesn't make any sense to me.
So maybe Alabama. Maybe by the time they get to Alabama, he can't have this awakening moment in the second quarter because the first quarter Alabama's already put up 30.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to have to find that. They're going to have to hit their stride earlier if they're really going to push to try to see how good they can really get.
Right.
Because come the time that they lace up against Georgia. If you want to see how good you've really gotten, then Georgia's going to be the standard bearer in that. Georgia and Alabama, those two games.
Keep a tight game. A win would be great, but a tight game would be satisfiable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very possible for Tennessee to do if they, like you said, they hit their stride earlier in the game than what they're doing right now. But they are going to have to get the foot on the gas a little bit faster than what they have been doing.
Right. I don't like the fourth down. I mean, great. They were 100% on fourth downs. Wonderful. We shouldn't be throwing the ball. I get a 4th and inches. I get that is going to happen. It's college football. It's going to happen. You're going to go for it depending on field position. But having to go for it as much as they are, a little crazy. Don't know if you know this. Through 3 games, we are 100% in the red zone. That is a Tennessee unheard of.
That's crazy.
That's points, chances and points scored. It doesn't mean it's a touchdown, but in the red zone, we're 100% chances for scores. That's insane. So for all of you that are going to comment that I'm hating on them and that I don't like Hooker or that I don't know what I'm talking about, guys, seriously, think about everything I've said, and then now I'm going to say this. They're great, 100% in the red zone, unheard of, great job. If there was something in the offseason, something during practice that you're focusing on, and that's it, fantastic. That is something that we were horrible at over the past couple years. And so, great increase there. Keep it up with that one. Couple guys limping off the field during this pass. Hopefully we see a Jabari Small return. Tillman, slow to get up after getting his legs cut out from underneath him twice. The real one occurred on the rushing touchdown there by, I think it was White. Rushing touchdown, and he came in the corner and took the legs out of Tillman, and that you could see him start grabbing him then. So hopefully Tillman's good. He said he was good, and a little bit of rest. Of course, he didn't play the rest of the game, I don't believe. But you hate to start losing people with a game like Akron. That's just we got to have as Florida is going to play up. This is their chance. It's their big rival, and so they're going to play up. We got to have everybody healthy. All in all, great win for Tennessee. We are going to step away for just a second, grab a little ad revenue, so don't skip it. Seriously, just watch the whole thing. It's only 30 seconds. Help us out and put a little money towards the show there. If you want to help out, check down in that bio and check out our PayPal donate link. We'll be back right after this to talk a little about around the SEC. All right, guys, welcome back. Big weekend around the SEC. Of course, we're just going to touch base on a little bit of it. Kentucky still leading the SEC with 3-0, leading the East. I'm sitting here trying to scroll down on my screen. It keeps jumping back. Like, what the world's going on? Sitting in 9th overall of the top 25 is that Kentucky. Slow start for Kentucky. Nothing in the first quarter before finally putting up 21, and then ending slow. And I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if they started putting in third string or if Youngstown started giving them a fit. I'll have to go back and watch that. Nevertheless, a win, 31-0 for Kentucky. Mizzou beats Abilene Christian.
Yeah, things are getting tough in Missouri.
Skip that one entirely. The one that's, if the Duke was on here, he always says he's not just a big SEC guy, he's a Tennessee guy, and the rest of the SEC can, But he would say he loves that South Carolina after all the, what is it he says, after all the hype and after all the play and stuff that they've been getting as far as media attention, Georgia to absolutely spank them.
They did. They absolutely destroyed South Carolina, which I really thought South Carolina might actually give them a game. And I watched a lot of that game. Well, until Georgia just they pulled away so far that it's like it's not even
the confidence that Stetson Bennett has now. I mean,
he does. But what I saw in that Georgia defense, and people can act like they're just as good this year as they were last year. They're not. Rattler, he would just make 3 great throws, and then he'd make one that just threw it all away.
That's him. I mean,
yeah, that's him.
We said in the preseason, what people think him coming here, he wasn't great where he was. So he's going to just all of a sudden be better under Shane Beamer? No, he's a 50% quarterback. If anyone could see it, a Tennessee fan can. We've been watching it for a decade.
Yeah. And I don't want all the Georgia fans to jump on me and think that I actually thought South Carolina, even if they would have done that, had a chance to win. I mean, they did.
You just thought maybe Georgia, a little better of a game.
Yeah, and from what I saw, like, people keep talking up Georgia, and the way I look at it is like, hey, until they really beat a quality team,
right?
Like, just because they beat up on what might be I mean, South Carolina might finish second to last in the East this year, for all we know. And, just because they went out and took them behind the woodshed doesn't mean that Georgia's a great team. And, I saw a lot of opportunities for South Carolina to keep that game close, at least in the first half, that they just let it slip through their fingers. And, I want to see the mark of a great championship team is when they get challenged and they really step up to the occasion. And Georgia has not been put in that situation all year long.
Not yet.
So
not yet. And they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it next week either because they host Kent State. Nick Saban's alma mater.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to beat them 50-0.
Another game that the Duke would love to talk about is the stomping that happened in Jordan here with Penn State coming to town, absolutely putting it on. Once I saw the score of that, I started Googling, has Brian Harrison been fired yet? Because he's been questionable since he's been there, and the fans are not going to tolerate much of it.
I mean, I still don't know who the hell Brian Harrison is or where the hell he came from and how he got that job. It's just, so you telling me that you fire Gus Malzahn for this? I mean, that was a top-notch move there, Auburn. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Gus had his issues, but to get rid of Malzahn.
Gus, he's loving life right now, though. He doesn't have the pressure of SEC fan base on his neck, and he's getting a coach.
Yeah, that's true.
And loving it. Ole Miss absolutely smokes Georgia Tech, which is always lovely. I like it when anyone from ACC just absolutely gets whooped. Vanderbilt does what we thought they would do. They go 3-1, beating Northern Illinois whomever's. The funny thing is we both, I think we both had them at 3-1 at this. Nope. You had them 2-2. I'm the only one had them 3-1, and then we have them to lose out the rest of the season.
Hey, I tell you what, I take back a lot of the horrible things I said about Vandy in the first season.
I think I should have bet.
They look a lot better than what I ever thought they would. Now, I mean, is that going to pan out? Probably not.
Well, you know where they go next week, right?
No.
Yeah, they go to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, well, I mean, that's obviously a W for Vandy. I mean, everybody knows Vandy's going to pull out. I mean, Alabama ain't seen a championship.
Alabama is going to get hurt by someone. I mean, Texas already hurt them, right? That they hurt their pride. They come out with a last-second field goal. I think they said that was the first time under Saban that Alabama has had to win by a last-second field goal. Is that crazy? That's
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's the first time that has happened, and it's been like the first time in however many years. But there's some, everyone's all about Bryce Young, and he's the blah, 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 and he's the greatest. And he's very mobile, and he escapes, and it's amazing some of the stuff that you see him do. And you're like, I cannot believe that just happened, or that they got away with, or some of the throws that he makes while falling down, things like that. Someone is going to be able to get enough pressure on him and start causing interceptions and fumbles, just turnovers in general, which the first couple minutes of the game that they were in, we're already to that game anyways, is ULM, is they got an interception on him. Now, granted, they intercepted it right back and then ran down and scored, and then blocked a punt and scored, and then in the first 12 minutes of the game, all three sides of Alabama scores, but ULM was actually giving them something for a minute. They were 28-0 by the time they hit 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter, which was greater than that of Tennessee in their first quarter. Mississippi.
Alabama's biggest issue, and I think everybody can see it right now, they don't have a top-tier wide receiver. And when was the last time that you saw an Alabama team that did not have at least one just stud of a wide receiver?
Right.
And until Alabama can get one of those freshmen to step up and play that Jalen Waddle or Julio Jones or whatever role that was over the last decade and a half, they're going to have to get that guy up. One of those guys is going to have to step up, or Alabama's going to be in trouble when it comes to playing somebody like Georgia.
When you got now Georgia, yes, but defensively, when Anderson is putting people 3 and out, as much as he does.
Yeah, I'm just talking about Alabama in the championship.
Right.
Like a championship run.
All these games in between doesn't matter. It's when they get to
yeah, I mean, everybody knows that, there's really not much stuff staying in the way of Alabama or Georgia for the rest of the season. Now, we might get surprised. There's always a chance for a surprise. But, those two teams are by far the two best in the conference right now.
Brian Kelly with his comeback win against Mississippi State. We'll see how they end up faring out. The Razorbacks with a win. Hey, the Arkansas is leading the West only because Alabama, no one else has played a conference game other than Mississippi State, that is now in dead last because of that loss. 3-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. They better feel great right there because they're not going to be there long. And, of course, the U going to Texas A&M, everyone thought that it would be closer of a game. No, it wasn't too far apart, but it wasn't. A&M,
A&M's going to come back to regret that App State loss.
They are. Now, he didn't start King, did he, this game?
He didn't. And I tell you what, I said this at the beginning of this season. How he let Zach Calzado or whoever that kid was that took them almost, toe-to-toe with, didn't he beat Alabama?
They beat Alabama last year.
He beat Alabama last year and took them. I don't think they lost a game
after that.
They lost one. But that kid went from a completely just terrible quarterback to a kid that could actually run an offense. And how in the world Jimbo let him go to Auburn? And now this kid's at Auburn, and he's like, what do I have to do here?
I don't have all these guys around me protecting me anymore. I don't have receivers that can, step up.
I just really have to question Jimbo Fisher's, you just have to question some of the things he does. How you can let a kid like that get away. Doesn't make any sense.
We've got one last game to talk about, and this is the luckiest team in college football. And no, it is not Notre Dame. Speaking of which, watchers, you'll see this. Listeners, I'll tell you what it is. On on our screen, I have the ability to either show or hide the names in which we have typed in. And let's if it'll let me show. It may be in settings. Here we are, show names. So for those listeners, his name, and then I hear it as he's joining in. It says, it gives me a notification bell. Then it says, Notre Dame is still garbage. Joined.
Yep.
So that's him. Notre Dame
is
still garbage. But that is not who we're talking about as far as luckiest team in college football. That would have to sit on the shoulders of Florida, because it is the final drive. It is less than a minute. The University of South Florida, whatever the Bulls or Vols thingamajiggers that they are, whomever, marching down the field. They have an opportunity to win the game, and they have a bad snap. And they recover it. And then they have an opportunity to tie the game, and then they have a bad snap. And Florida walks off the field with a victory.
I'm telling you, it's going to be
that is sheer luck. You have a great game, and I get it. They're excited. They just got paid to come in here. They're going to beat Florida. They're so excited about this. And then it just 2 in a row. Absolutely crazy.
I'll tell you, even as a Florida homer, I said at the beginning of the year they weren't going to make a bowl game, and I still stand by that statement. Like, things are not pretty in Gainesville. And until everything is lined on Anthony Richards' shoulders right now, and if he gets hurt or he doesn't live up to par, it's going to be a very long season for Florida.
And he's still a 500 quarterback. He went 10 for 18. His average is 6.2. He only threw for 112 yards and 2 picks.
Yeah, 2 picks. Yeah, both of which, one was a pick 6, I believe. And the other one, he threw an interception in the end zone from like his 8-yard line or 12-yard line or something like that. But yeah, it's things aren't good in Florida right now.
No, things aren't good at Florida is a great time to leave you guys dangling for the rest of the week. This one's dropping on Monday morning. The episode 2 of this week drops on Thursday. Of course, this past week we got a little behind, and the viewership and listenership was way, way, way down. Like, people were like, okay, we've seen enough pre-game videos of Akron. So it just completely tanked. So we're going to leave that little drama out there for Thursday. We got a big week again this week in the SEC. Coming up, it's week 4 already. Already in week 4. Some cupcake games, some fantastic games. We'll get to those. The second episode of this week. We want to thank you for tuning in to this first one. Remember, social media, wherever you are, we are at TN Fan Talk. We'll catch you later on in the week. Go Vols.